This is the second question from our mean absolute deviation notes. Our question says study the two line graphs. Which graph will have the higher mean absolute deviation and why? So we learned in the last question and in the definition that mean absolute deviation gives us a measurement of how spread out a number is, how much it varies, how much variation it has. And as you see my hint at the bottom, you don't actually have to calculate the mean absolute deviation in this question, if we just think it logically. So the first one, both of them are the time spent working on homework. The first one is week 1. The second is week 2. I noticed that they both have the same mean. So the mean is 5 for both of them. But I want to think which one has the higher mean absolute deviation. That would mean that my numbers were further away from 5. So if I look, I see week 1 has a 1 and a 0. Those are 5 away. It has a 10. That's 5 away from the mean. And then these are really close together because they're only 4 is only 1 away. 6 is only 1 away from 5, our mean. So I can just tell that week 1 is going to have a higher mean absolute deviation. You could just write MAD for mean absolute deviation. So week 1 will have a higher mean absolute deviation, but they also ask us why. Because the numbers are more spread out. So if we were to calculate the mean absolute deviation, week 1, the distance away from 5, the average distance away from 5 would be much higher than for week 2. And for the next question, you're going to be making predictions first, and then we're going to work out the mean absolute deviation. So our next question says, students are trying to determine the typical height of an 8th grade girl and an 8th grade boy in their school. They measured the heights in inches of one 8th grade class and displayed the data on the plots. So there's our data for girls, there's our data for boys. You are making a prediction for part A and part B. So part A, which group appears to have the greater average height? So that's the mean, the average, not the mean absolute deviation. That's just the mean. Give reasons for your prediction. So which one, girls or boys, do you think has the highest mean? And the second part says, which group appears to have the greater variability in height? Give reasons for your prediction. Remember, variability is how spread out the data points are. So before you calculate the mean absolute deviation, which is what our next video is going to be, make those two predictions.